Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for a transfer tips video. It's the final game week, game week 38. Obviously, it's a Sunday deadline, and all the games are on the Sunday. So, one last time, we're going to do the transfer tips video for the year, or the season, I should say. Yeah, how you doing, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. I can't believe it's the last transfer tips of the season. It seems to have flown by, but yeah, it's gonna be a really important one to finish off strong with the season. So yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the final game week now. It feels like it's been quite a long season, but yeah, let's get into it anyway. So, I'll pull up the first player, and that is Eze. So, moving on to obviously why we should be looking at a player like Eze. So 37 appearances, and he actually has 10 goals, 4 assists, which is a pretty decent return, I'd say. We also look at his fixture, his final fixture. He's got Nottingham Forest in game week 38, and I think that looks like a pretty good fixture for him. Nottingham Forest are obviously safe now after winning their last game, and this could be a fun game. There could be goals in this one. Eze is currently the most transferred in player, I think, this game week, which seems like he's going to be quite a popular choice. If you do want to go different, you could go for one of his teammates, like Elise. If you want to be different, but Eze also, I think, could be a good pick, and he's one that a lot of people will be looking at. 5.6 million. He's relatively cheap. Again, as we mentioned, he has got a couple nice double-digit hauls in the last couple game weeks, so it's one I'm looking at. As a fixture looks good, and he's one of those players that ownership is 8.5, so he's going up quite a lot. He probably will be a lot higher owned come the end of the game week. That's why I mentioned you might want to go for someone like Elise and be different. What do you make of Palace in general, Jordan? Obviously, Eze has done well in recent weeks as well.
Well, yeah, their new manager obviously has what's the word?
Revitalized.
Yeah, revitalized Crystal Palace after Vieira's dismissal. So yeah, it looks pretty good for Newcastle assets in this last game week, because there ain't really many fixtures, honestly, that look really good. And even though Crystal Palace haven't got anything to play for, nor Nottingham Forest, that kind of makes it in a good way, where you'll see a lot of more relaxation, maybe a lot of goals on both sides, and a lot of those goals have come from Eze recently, as he has had 10 goals this season. Hasn't felt like it. As a midfielder, he hasn't been really looked at, as his ownership is still at that differential level. But in this last game week, yeah, I think Eze can be a differential pick if you want to get those rank gains, obviously, in this last week, as you want to push as high as you can and pick the player you think will obviously get you that rank increase. And I think Eze could be one of those players that you could probably get an extra maybe 50k or maybe 100k rank, depending on how well he does. And it's not in the Forest home fixture, and it's green. And yeah, it looks pretty good. 5.6 million as well price, so he's cheap and affordable. You should be able to get Eze in for a midfielder spot. And yeah, I quite like the pick.
Moving on to another player that we recommend you buy ahead of game week 38, and that is actually Callum Wilson. Now, we know Callum Wilson has been doing well as well in recent weeks. 18 goals for the season, which is very nice. 5 assists also. He is currently owned by 17% of managers, so he's getting quite highly owned now. 7.2 million, and Newcastle still need to win, obviously, to secure third, because there is a chance that Man United could get third now. If Man United win their last two, because of that draw last night against Leicester, Man United still could nick third. So Newcastle, obviously, if they want to finish as high as possible, still need to get that win. And Chelsea, they've been struggling all season, so that could be a good fixture for Newcastle. And Wilson, there's not many striking options right now, so I still like him as a pick. And if you've got him, I think he's definite hold going into Chelsea. What's your take on Wilson and obviously Newcastle after their draw last night to Leicester?
Yeah, as a Wilson owner, it was a bit surprising that they actually drew 0-0 in that game, because it was pretty unfortunate for Newcastle assets like Wilson not to score in that game. But as we've seen for the season, Wilson has been on and off with injuries, but despite that, he has proven that he can be a massive turnaround for a player. Like 18 goals this season, despite his injury issues, and 5 assists to back it up with also. I think he provided a decent player in obviously the last fixture against Chelsea, who have struggled against pretty much any team really. Any team really haven't struggled against Chelsea, and with Newcastle being in that spot where they've secured top 4, but now they probably want to also finish in obviously the third position over Man United. So maybe there is something a little bit still to play for Newcastle, and Wilson could play a major role in that, and in that central position where he normally scores goals from. And obviously, as a bonus, he is on penalty kicks, which proved a lot of importance in that double game week in 36 when Newcastle, where Wilson scored 2 penalties. So, yeah, I think Wilson is also a nice buy to go for, a slightly more higher owned player to go for, but I think he can still be a decent rank gainer in the last fixture against Chelsea away, despite being a red one.
Moving on to some sells, and the first up is actually KDB. KDB has been benched. Obviously, last game he's been benched in a few games actually, leading up to obviously the rotation with the Champions League. They've got Brentford away in the final day. I think City play as well tomorrow night, I think, against Brighton. So we'll wait and see how they do in that game before we make our decision. If KDB plays 90 minutes or so in that game, then I think he does become a worry for this Brentford game. 7 goals, 16 assists, obviously. So he's done well this season, KDB. But I think he's a sell now, in my opinion. I'd rather get in a different premium, really. A Harry Kane, a Son, someone like that, and spread the money elsewhere. Even a Salah against Southampton, like just go different on a premium, I think. And KDB, he could get benched again, as we know, with Man City having the FA Cup final and the Champions League final to look forward to. Obviously, you sold KDB, Jordan, last week. I think you agree, obviously, with Man City's now wrapped up the title.
Yeah, I think because of that Arsenal loss, and that automatically ensured Man City win the title now. This was expected to see rotation, as we did. Obviously, in that Chelsea game where pretty much you saw the strongest bench possible that Pep obviously put on there, which included KDB. So, yeah, at this moment in time, with the Premier League wrapped up, Pep is going to focus his priorities on the other 2 cups that Man City are still in, and KDB will play an important role in that. So maybe in terms of FPL now, he does become a sell, as he may not play many minutes. Obviously, in that Brentford away fixture in the last game week, not knowing really until we see tomorrow if he does start KDB or not. So it just depends on that. But either way, I think KDB doesn't play a full 90-minute football in that Brentford away fixture, whichever way it goes, because he's going to play an important role in the other cups that Man City are still in.
Yeah. Moving on, this could be a controversial one, and that is actually Erling Haaland as a sell. Now, again, Haaland and Man City play tomorrow night against Brighton, I think it is. So we wait and see how they line up for that game. If Haaland starts and he plays 60, 70 minutes, he could be a sell. If he doesn't start Haaland and he's on the bench, let's say tomorrow, and he comes on for the last 10, 15 minutes, like against Chelsea, then I think Haaland is a hold potentially, because that means he'll probably get the game against Brentford. So it does depend on tomorrow night. If he plays and starts tomorrow, I would be worried about Brentford. So it's a sell, but it's a wait and see as well, how he does tomorrow. So this could easily change. Of course, we know the risk about not having Haaland, and if he plays and he scores, which is most likely to do, 36 goals, 7 assists for him so far this season. And I'm sure he'll want to score more as well, and end it on a even bigger high. But Man City do have to be careful with Haaland. Obviously, the 2 finals coming up, they need him to be fit and firing for those games. So yeah, on that basis, he could be a potential sell. Would you agree, Jordan?
Yeah, he could be the biggest probably sell you could go for in terms of Man City assets, as he plays the most important role, obviously, for Man City with his 36 goals this season record. And yeah, with obviously the Premier League wrapped up, Haaland will obviously have to be taken care of and fit and healthy for those cup matches, cup finals that obviously Man City have got to come. And obviously, maybe that Brentford away game, we won't probably see Haaland, but it will depend on tomorrow whether Pep starts Haaland or not.
Okay. Okay, that's the sells out the way then. Let's move on to some players that we think you could be looking to hold on to. And the first one is actually Marcus Rashford. See, Rashford and Man United are playing Thursday night against Chelsea in their final game week. Sorry, in the final game for double game week 37. Obviously, double game week 37 is still currently ongoing. Man United have to play Thursday. So if Rashford plays against Chelsea on Thursday night, then I think he's a hold against Fulham at home in the final day. Man United can still get third place. So if they get 2 wins, I believe they will finish third. So that is something for Man United to play for and finish as high as they can. And yeah, as I said, if Rashford plays against Chelsea, then I think he's an easy hold. 16 goals, 5 assists all for him this season. His form has slightly dropped off towards the end of the season. But I think that home fixture against Fulham could be a nice one in terms of getting an attacking return. So if he's fit, we know he's fit, but if he's back from his illness, I think I'll be keeping him for Fulham. Are you going to do the same, Jordan?
Yeah, I think now I'm going to probably keep Rashford in my team now. Hopefully he plays in that Chelsea game, because obviously he only not played in the first double game in 37 because of illness, so he should be ready to go in the second fixture in game week 37. But also after that, he should be ready for Fulham at home, which looks like a nice home fixture. Man United's home fixture is much more considerably better than their away one, so that does give Rashford a bit of a appeal to obviously hold on to him and see what he does in the last fixture, as it may need to be still to play for in the top four if Man United somehow lose to Chelsea, because they do need just 1 point or more just to secure the top four place. And obviously Rashford is the source of goals for Man United.
Yeah. Moving on to another hold, and that is actually Isak. He's been transferred out by quite a few of your managers. He also has 10 goals in 20 appearances so far this season, 5 off the bench. So the goals to start ratio is pretty good. Again, Isak and Wilson both started again last night together. So that shows that Eddie Howe does, prefer now playing both of them together. They've started Wilson and Isak in pretty much the last few games. So I wouldn't be worried about rotation here or minutes. He's got Chelsea next. Again, similar to Wilson. I think Isak could be a good hold if you've got him. I don't think there's any rush to take him out because there's not much other options really at that price bracket that you'd want. I mean, Chelsea haven't been that good. So, I still believe Newcastle will be trying to finish the season on a high and getting that final win for the season to cap off a brilliant season they've had. So, yeah, I wouldn't be selling Isak, I don't think. If you've got him, I think you should hold him. Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think with Isak's ownership still low as well for a forward, he could still be also a nice rank gain if he is to get a return. It may be hard on the left-hand side for him. Obviously, he's not as involved as Wilson is, but he still can nick and assist, as he has done previously. But it's all to play for now, so I still think as an Isak owner as well, that I'll probably hold on to him too and see what he can do against Chelsea away, as obviously Chelsea have struggled and Newcastle want to look to finish strong, obviously in finishing third if possible. And maybe Isak can be a part of that, obviously.
Moving on to some ignores. First one up is actually Mbeumo. Now, Mbeumo is coming off a double-digit haul actually against Spurs. He did score 2 goals against Spurs on double game week 37. And he's got 9 goals and 7 assists for the season, so not bad there from Mbeumo. We know Tony is now suspended for 8 months. Mbeumo is going to be more involved in goals. However, they do have Man City next, and that does slightly worry me with the fixtures not the greatest. Yes, Man City don't have much to play for. They will rotate. However, we know how Man City are still. They put their B team out, should we say, against Chelsea and still won 1-0. So, I'm not sure I'd be targeting Mbeumo after his double-digit haul. He's not going to do that every week. And obviously, City, I still expect City to have a team out that can win, and I still expect City to win. So, I'm not sure I'd be bringing Mbeumo in. But if you are feeling lucky, you want to take that risk, and obviously ownership is very low, 3.7%. You could go there, but for me, he's an ignore. I think I'm going to go without him, even though obviously what he did last game week with the 2 goals against Spurs. What's your take on it, Jordan?
Yeah, I think if this situation happened earlier in the season, I think Mbeumo obviously becomes more of an appeal, but because it's the end of the season now and it's the last fixture and it's also against Man City at home, it kind of feels like it's a bit late now to bring Mbeumo in, even though he scored 2 goals and obviously Tony's absent. And obviously when Tony doesn't play, we normally see Mbeumo play in his position and normally score goals. But I think now, last game week, I don't think you want to be picking Mbeumo, especially when he's got Man City. Even if Man City do rotate some players in their squad, I think it's going to be a long shot going for him when he's playing against obviously one of the hardest teams in the Premier League to score against.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the last ignore is actually Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is currently, obviously, he got Man United did win 1-0 against Bournemouth. It was Bournemouth, wasn't it? Bruno Fernandes didn't get any attacking returns. He does have to play Chelsea on Thursday night. So depending on that game, he could become an option again. But I think at that price, 9.5 million, Bruno's only got 6 goals and 8 assists. So it's not a bad return. He has played obviously pretty much every game for Man United when he's been fit. But I look at the last home game. Okay, on paper, I think it is a pretty good home game for Man United against Fulham at Old Trafford. They could still get third. However, I still would rather take a punt on a different player. Maybe move that money up front to Harry Kane. Maybe even, dare I say it, Son, who hasn't been great, I know, but again, it's going different, low ownership, and taking a punt for the final game week of the season. So I'm not sure I'd be bringing Bruno in. I think I've not been impressed with him in the last few weeks, the way he's been playing. So I'm not sure I'd want to bring him in. But, Bruno is on penalties, 90 minutes. We know what he is capable of. But for my team, I think he's an ignore. What about you, Jordan?
Well, yeah, it's been pretty underwhelming, Bruno, in the last matches, especially the last game in Bournemouth. I don't think I've seen Bruno play worse than that. But if he can somehow spruce himself up against Chelsea, then maybe it's a change of heart. But at the current moment, I'm completely ignoring Bruno. And obviously for the price he is, 9.5 million, he is a bit expensive to bring in if you're tight on the money as well. And for a player who hasn't really excelled this season, even though he's got 6 goals and 8 assists, it still feels like it's a bit underwhelming for the price of Bruno. And I was kind of hoping for more from him, especially in double game week 37, which is still ongoing. Hopefully he gets something out of that second fixture. Maybe it turns a bit more towards not an ignore, but other than that, at the moment, I don't think Bruno's really on the radar for me personally either. But I've got him as well, so I might even potentially take him out of my team. But for those who don't have him, he's definitely a player you probably want to ignore going into the last game week, even though it is Fulham at home. Man United still don't really score many goals, and obviously Bruno hasn't had many goals so far.
Okay, let's quickly recap the players now for our transfer tips video. Obviously, the buy, sell, hold, ignore series. So you should be looking to buy Eze and Wilson ahead of game week 38. You should sell KDB and Haaland potentially. Rashford is a hold as well as Isak, and you should ignore Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes. So those are the 8 players. Let us know what you think of our picks. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure you do drop a like on the stream if you are enjoying the content, or if you're watching on a playback, make sure you like the stream. Also, subscribe. And yeah, just a few comments. What to do with Haaland? I think we mentioned Haaland. Also, Liam also says got 7 players left and Haaland captain, but don't think Haaland starts. We'll do Haaland to Kane last game week of the season, and captain Kane rank 84k. Okay, that's not many comments left, so we're probably going to wrap the stream up. It has been a quick video. Obviously, this has been the transfer tips for Game Week 38. We're going to be back again on Thursday, 7 p.m. again, same time, for the team selection video, and then we'll be back on Sunday for the deadline stream. So make sure you guys are locked in. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like this stream as well. It really helps support the channel. So that's it from us. We're going to wrap it up here. Anything else you want to add, Jordan, before we do head out?
Just thank you guys for watching. Obviously, we hope that's helped the final transfer tips of this season. But if not, obviously there's many other options to go for. But we'll see you on Thursday for the team selection and we'll show you what our plans are for our teams.
Yeah, see you guys Thursday. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, drop a like on your way out.